Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Property Wealth Podcast. Today, we're diving into a topic that many real estate investors might not think about at first, but it's super important for your success: Bandit Signs and marketing compliance.
Yeah, it's one of those things that can really make or break your investing strategy. You might think, oh, it's just a sign, but there's so much more to it when it comes to the legal side, right?
Exactly. And for those of you who might not be familiar, Bandit signs are those little signs you see on street corners, advertising homes, or services. They can be a great way to attract attention, but you have to be careful because, there are rules and regulations involved.
That's right. Today, we'll discuss what you need to know about the do's and don'ts of bandit signs, how to stay compliant with local laws, and some creative alternatives if bandit signs aren't allowed in your area.
Plus, we'll share tips on how to effectively market your properties without running into legal trouble. It's all about being smart and strategic, especially when you're building long-term wealth.
And remember, it's not just about the signs. We'll also touch on how to create a comprehensive marketing strategy that works for you, no matter your level of experience.
So let's jump right in. I think we should start by discussing the legal landscape. Mike, what are some common misconceptions investors have about bandit signs?
So, Sarah, when we talk about bandit signs and marketing compliance, it's really about more than just the signs themselves. It's about positioning yourself for the future, especially for those of us over 40.
Absolutely, Mike. It's like the decisions we make now can really shape our retirement timelines. I mean, if you're looking to build wealth for retirement, every little detail counts.
Right? And with inflation being such a concern these days, having a solid real estate strategy can act as a hedge against that. Property tends to appreciate over time, and that's really crucial for maintaining your purchasing power.
Yeah, I remember talking to an investor. Let's call him John. He's in his early 50s and was feeling the pinch from rising costs. He realized that his savings weren't keeping up with inflation, so he turned to real estate. He started using bandit signs to attract sellers, and it opened up a whole new avenue for him.
That's a great example. John's situation is relatable for many, I think. With the current economic trends, people are looking for ways to diversify and create multiple streams of income. Bandit signs can be an effective way to generate leads without breaking the bank.
Exactly. And it's not just about making money. It's also about peace of mind, right? People want to feel secure in their investments, especially as they approach retirement.
For sure, there's an emotional side to this that often gets overlooked. Financial security through property can provide a sense of stability. Like, if you know you have assets that are appreciating, it can really ease those retirement anxieties.
And think about how real estate can be a part of wealth transfer to family. You want to leave something behind that's meaningful. Not just cash, but something that has the potential to grow and provide for future generations.
Yeah, I've seen families who invest together. They buy properties with the intention of passing them down. It creates a legacy, but that requires a solid understanding of the market, and that's where the compliance aspect comes in.
Right. If you're not compliant with marketing regulations, you could be jeopardizing those investments. I mean, imagine finally getting that dream property, only to face fines or legal issues because of a misstep with your marketing.
Exactly. And it's not just about avoiding trouble, it's about building credibility. When you're compliant, you're sending a message that you take your business seriously. That can build trust with sellers and buyers alike, which is crucial in this market.
That reminds me of another investor I spoke with. Let's call her Lisa. She was using bandit signs without really understanding the local regulations. She got a hefty fine and it really set her back. It was a tough lesson, but it pushed her to educate herself more about compliance.
That's unfortunate, but it's a common story. It can feel overwhelming, especially for those of us who didn't grow up with all this technology and marketing. But it's never too late to learn.
Exactly. And for those over 40, it can feel like a lot to take in, but the rewards can be significant. Once you're able to navigate those regulations, you can really leverage bandit signs to your advantage.
Right. It's about creating a system that works for you. Imagine being able to drive down your neighborhood and see your signs, knowing that they're compliant and attracting the right kind of leads.
Yeah, that's a powerful visual. And for someone nearing retirement, that can translate into tangible assets. It's like planting seeds for the future, and those seeds can grow into something substantial.
And it's not just about the money. It's also about the freedom that comes with it. Knowing you've secured your financial future allows you to enjoy life more. You can travel, spend time with family, or even pursue hobbies you've put on the back burner.
Absolutely. And I think that's what we're really after. Freedom and security. The emotional benefits of investing in real estate can be just as important as the financial ones.
Right, and that's why understanding the current market trends is key. You want to be proactive, not reactive. If you see a shift, you can adjust your strategy accordingly.
And that's where Bandit Signs come in again. They can help you tap into local markets quickly and efficiently, but you've got to do it the right way.
Exactly. A well-placed, compliant Bandit sign can mean the difference between a good deal and a missed opportunity. And for those of us over 40, those opportunities can be game changers.
So with all this in mind, it's clear that understanding the why behind these strategies is crucial. And the good news is, we're about to dive into some core strategies that can really help make this all a reality.
So when we talk about marketing strategies like Bandit signs, it's essential to know a few core principles to make them effective, right?
Absolutely. I mean, Bandit signs can be a powerful tool if you do it right. But tell me, what are some of those core strategies to keep in mind?
Well, first, you really want to think about location. I like to say, location, location, location. You want to place your signs where you know your target market is likely to see them.
Right. So what does that look like in practice?
Let's say you're targeting distressed property owners. You might want to put your signs near neighborhoods that are known for having older homes, or areas where you've noticed a lot of for sale or foreclosure signs.
That makes sense. And what about the design of the signs themselves?
Good question. Simplicity is key here. You want a bold, clear message? Think about something catchy like, "We buy houses," with a phone number that's easy to read.
Yeah, I can imagine how important that is. You don't want someone squinting at your sign trying to figure out the number.
Exactly. And you should also keep in mind the legalities of putting up signs. Many cities have ordinances about where and how long you can display Bandit signs.
Oh, for sure. That's a good point. You don't want to face fines or have your signs taken down.
Right. So before you put your sign up, check your local regulations. A lot of times you can find that information online or by calling your city's zoning office.
And what about the timing? Does that play a role in how effective these signs are?
Definitely. Timing can be crucial. For example, if you're targeting homeowners in distress, you might want to put up your signs during times when they might be more likely to be looking for help, like after a major storm or during economic downturns.
That's such a smart approach. And I guess you'd want to keep track of when you put them up too?
Exactly. You want to monitor your signs. If you're getting responses, great. If not, you may need to change your messaging or the locations.
So it's kind of like a little experiment, right?
Yes, precisely. And one rule of thumb I like to mention is the 1% rule.
Oh, I've heard of that. Can you explain it a bit more?
Sure. The 1% rule suggests that the monthly rent you can charge for a property should be at least 1% of the purchase price. So if you buy a property for $200,000, you should aim to rent it for $2,000 a month.
That's a handy benchmark. It helps you quickly evaluate if the property could be a good investment.
Exactly. And remember, it's not just about the purchase price. You'll also want to factor in any repair costs or renovations when evaluating your potential rental income.
Ah, yes. That's where the 50% rule comes into play, right?
You got it. The 50% rule states that, on average, half of your rental income will go toward expenses. So if you're expecting to make $2,000 a month, you should budget around $1,000 for things like maintenance, property management, and vacancies.
So if you follow those two rules, it gives you a clearer picture of whether a property is worth pursuing.
Exactly. And don't forget about cash flow. It's not just about covering your expenses. You want to make sure you're bringing in enough income to build wealth over time.
Right. So what's a good way to calculate cash flow?
A simple formula is to take your monthly rental income, subtract your monthly expenses, and that gives you your cash flow. For example, if you're bringing in $2,000 and your total expenses are $1, $200, you'd have a cash flow of $800.
And that's a good indicator of whether the investment is working for you, right?
Exactly. And, it can be helpful to have a checklist when evaluating deals.
Like, what kind of things would be on that checklist?
Well, start with the property location, then check the condition of the property, understand the local market trends, and examine comparable sales in the area.
That's a solid start. And would you include financing options in that checklist too?
Absolutely. Knowing your financing options is critical. Are you planning to buy with cash, or will you need a mortgage? And what type of mortgage will you be looking for?
That's a big one. Different financing can really affect your overall return on investment.
Exactly. And don't forget about the different property types too. Single-family homes, multifamily units, and commercial properties all come with their own sets of challenges and benefits.
So it's really about understanding what fits your strategy in your market, right?
Exactly. And once you have that knowledge down, you can make more informed decisions.
But even with all these strategies, I'm sure there are pitfalls to watch out for, right?
You're spot on. It's easy to get caught up in the excitement of a deal and miss some crucial details.
Well, let's dive into those pitfalls next.
So, Sarah, one common pitfall I see with new investors is over-leveraging. They often think that, taking on as much debt as possible will maximize their returns.
Absolutely. And it sounds tempting, right? But what happens is, when the market shifts or a tenant leaves unexpectedly, it can spiral out of control.
Exactly. I had a client not long ago who bought a property with a really aggressive financing plan. They were all set to cash flow, but then they had to deal with a major repair.
Oh no, what kind of repair?
Well, the roof needed replacing, and they really didn't factor that into their budget. Suddenly, they were in a tight spot because they were too leveraged, and they didn't have enough reserves to cover that expense.
That's such a crucial point. Having reserves, right? It's like a safety net.
Yes, and it's something that can't be stressed enough. You never know when those unexpected costs will pop up.
So how can someone spot the red flags for over-leveraging early on?
Well, a good rule of thumb is to keep your debt-to-income ratio in check. If it's too high, that's a warning sign. Also, make sure you have a solid understanding of what your monthly cash flow looks like.
Right, and it's not just about the number on the purchase price, but all those additional costs.
Exactly, like property management fees, maintenance, insurance, and let's not forget taxes.
Speaking of taxes, I've seen investors overlook them completely when calculating their cash flow.
Yes, that's a common mistake too. I had a friend who bought a nice duplex thinking it was cash flow positive, but they didn't account for the property taxes, and it turned out they were losing money each month.
That's tough. So frustrating when you think you're doing everything right.
It is. And then there's bad tenants. That's another area where new investors can really trip up.
Oh, for sure. I mean, everyone hopes to find the perfect tenant, but sometimes it doesn't go that way.
Right. I had a case where a landlord didn't properly vet their tenant, and, well, the tenant stopped paying rent after just a few months.
Yikes. That must have put them in a really difficult situation.
It did. They had to start the eviction process, which, as you know, can take time and money.
And it's not just the lost rent, but all the legal fees and headaches that come with it.
Exactly. A good way to avoid that is to really check references thoroughly. And don't skip that credit check.
Yeah, it might feel like an extra step, but it's so worth it in the long run.
Definitely. And then there's the issue of ignoring cash flow. I've seen investors fall in love with a property's potential appreciation, but they forget about the actual cash flow.
Right. They get so caught up in the idea of the property value increasing that they neglect the day-to-day financials.
I had a client who bought a property in a hot area, thinking it would appreciate rapidly, but they didn't really analyze the rental market.
And what happened?
They ended up with a property that was costing them money every month because the rents were significantly lower than what they'd anticipated.
That's such a hard lesson to learn.
It is. And timing the market can be another trap. People think they can predict the perfect time to buy or sell.
Oh, I hear that all the time. I'll just wait until prices drop. But the market can be unpredictable.
Exactly. I've seen investors hold off on purchases for months or even years, waiting for that perfect moment, only to miss out on great opportunities.
So true. It's like waiting for that ideal time might actually cost them more in the long run.
Absolutely. It's better to buy a good property at a fair price than to wait for a perfect price, on a potentially great property.
That's such a valuable perspective.
And then there are hidden costs. I mean, they can derail even the best laid plans.
Totally. Like, what kind of hidden costs are we talking about?
Well, things like closing costs, repairs that weren't disclosed, or even HOA fees.
Oh, those can really add up quickly, can't they?
They sure can. I once had a newbie investor who bought a condo thinking it was a good deal, but they didn't realize the HOA fees were going to eat into their profits significantly.
That's a tough pill to swallow.
Yeah, and it's always a good idea to ask for a full breakdown of all costs involved in a deal before jumping in.
So, to recap, we've talked about over-leveraging, bad tenants, ignoring cash flow, timing the market, and hidden costs.
Right, and each of these can be avoided with a little due diligence and planning.
So, what do you think are the best next steps for someone who might be feeling overwhelmed by all of this?
Well, first I'd say educate yourself. Read books, listen to podcasts, talk to seasoned investors, and don't rush into any deals.
That's key. And maybe starting with a smaller property to build confidence before jumping into larger investments.
Absolutely. And always have a financial cushion. You never know when you might need it.
Wise words, Mike. It sounds like the foundation of successful investing really comes down to preparation and awareness of potential pitfalls.
Exactly. If you can spot those red flags early, you'll be in a much better position to make informed decisions.
Great insights as always. I think that's a wrap for this section, and I can't wait to dive into our next topic.
All right, so now that we've tackled Bandit Signs and marketing compliance, let's talk about some immediate steps you can take, to really get the ball rolling.
Absolutely, Mike. I think one of the first things is to start creating your Bandit Signs. But before you do that, make sure you check your local regulations. You don't want to run into any compliance issues right off the bat.
Right, and once you know what's allowed, you can design your signs. Keep it simple, clear, and focused on your message. You want people to see it and understand it quickly, like, we buy houses, or cash for homes, something catchy.
Yeah, and don't forget, there are some great apps out there to help you with design. Canva is a fantastic tool. It's user-friendly and has tons of templates. It can really help you make your signs stand out.
Definitely, and once you've got your signs ready, think about where to place them. Look for high traffic areas, but again, check the local laws about sign placement. You can also scout out where other investors are placing their signs.
That's a great point. And while you're out there, you might want to consider using tools like Zillow or Realtor.com to get a feel for the market in those areas. They can help you find comparable properties and understand what's selling nearby.
Exactly, and if you're looking to analyze deals, the BiggerPockets calculator is a great resource. It helps you crunch the numbers and see if a property is a good investment.
Speaking of analyzing, I think it's a good habit to commit to analyzing at least one deal a week. It doesn't have to be a huge deal. Just something to practice your skills and get comfortable with the process.
That's a solid plan. And if you're feeling a bit lost, consider joining a local real estate meetup. It's a fantastic way to network, learn from others, and find mentors who can guide you along the way.
Oh, and don't forget about online communities, too. BiggerPockets has forums where you can ask questions and share your experiences. It's a great way to connect with like-minded individuals.
For sure, and if you're looking for more structured learning, there are some excellent books and podcasts out there. Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki is a classic. It's not solely about real estate, but it really gets you thinking about wealth building.
Yeah, that's a must-read. And for podcasts, I highly recommend BiggerPockets Podcast. They share real-life stories from investors, which can be super motivating and informative.
Absolutely. And remember, start where you are. You don't need to have it all figured out right away. Just take those small steps, whether it's designing a sign or analyzing that one deal a week.
Right, and you can also check out local MLS Access if you have connections in the industry. It can give you insights into the latest listings and market trends.
That's a great resource. And don't shy away from using tools like Rentometer to understand rental prices in your target neighborhoods. It's all about gathering data to make informed decisions.
Exactly. So as you start to implement these strategies, keep a journal or a planner to track your progress. It's really motivating to look back and see how far you've come.
And don't be discouraged if things don't happen overnight. Building wealth through real estate is a marathon, not a sprint. Celebrate those small wins along the way.
Yes, every small step counts. So with these tools in your pocket and these actionable steps, you're ready to move forward. Let's recap what we've covered today.
Well, as we wrap up today's discussion on bandit signs and marketing compliance, it's really clear that a few key points stand out.
Absolutely, Mike. First off, we talked about the importance of understanding local regulations. Knowing what's allowed can save you a lot of headaches down the line.
Right, and then there's the value of creating a solid marketing strategy. It's not just about putting up signs, but also about being strategic in how you position your message.
And let's not forget the role of consistency. Keeping your marketing efforts steady can really help build trust in your community.
Exactly. And of course, we touched on the idea of testing and measuring your results. Seeing what works and what doesn't is crucial for long-term success.
It really is. So, for anyone listening, remember that building wealth through real estate doesn't have to be overwhelming. With the right approach and a bit of patience, you can definitely create a solid portfolio.
Yeah, it's all about taking those small, consistent steps and being willing to adapt along the way.
And speaking of steps, we'd love to hear from you. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your biggest takeaway or any questions you might have in the comments.
And if you know someone over 40 who's looking to dive into property investment, share this episode with them. It could really make a difference.
Oh, and next time, we'll dive into cold calling scripts for sellers. It's going to be super helpful for anyone looking to connect directly with potential leads.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that one. There's so much to explore in that area.
Thanks for joining us today, everyone. We really appreciate you being part of our community.
Take care and happy investing.